Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we are going to talk about our clearing process and how challenging sometimes that can be. So this might feel a little heavier than some of the other videos, but this is where I am today, so we're going to get into it. So what happens when we're clearing, and why are we clearing, and what is a clearing? We're going to go all around the gamut for a while and talk about why certain things have to clear our body. So when you are upgrading your frequency, when you are going to a different reality, when you are trying to anchor in something new, you're going to go through clearing processes. When you're clearing karma, you're going to go through clearing processes, and there are certain parts of the process where I feel like it's a little bit heavier than other parts. I feel like when you're getting into full body ascension, it's sort of the last 3 years of that 9-year process, and these time frames are kind of if you give it everything you got. Sometimes it's longer for people. Sometimes some people might have things a little bit shorter in one clearing and longer in another, depending on how they had constructed, how their DNA is constructed, in a sense of what was deeper for them to clear. And I do apologize for the cat yelling in the background. She wants to go outside, so she's gonna have to wait till we're done. She's not real happy with that answer. So, you're going to find that you're always going to go through different parts of the process, right? So when we go through a clearing, it can feel really heavy. I know I've been in a bigger clearing that's lasted like about, 3 years, 3.5 years. And then this year has been a lot of clearing. I might get a little reprieve for a while, and then it's a different level of it. So we're always going deeper in. So today I'm kind of talking about kind of the longer clearings. Your deeper programming is basically what it is. We're reprogramming. And to do that, we have to get rid of everything in the body that is that old frequency. So tears, all that anger, when you're screaming something out, when you're stomping around with victim energy, that is all what we would call old programming, right? It's an old frequency. You're kind of getting rid of it so you can reprogram the body with more of your soul light, which doesn't carry that distorted frequency. These are all the things in the way of being able to do what we want to do. It's all of our fears. So a lot of times we might get faced with a lot of our fears, all at one time, or we might be down to nothing and feel like we're down to nothing, both figuratively and literally, and still have to kind of keep pushing forward, and see, okay, what's going to happen next? We just got to get through this next phase of the clearing. So you might find yourself very upset, you're crying, a lot of stuff, we're triggered. A lot of times I'll be around particular people that carry a very strong frequency of what I'm trying to clear, because what happens is I'll start to feel it in my body, but I'm not feeling their stuff. I'm feeling my stuff. I'm feeling the frequency in me on a cellular level that still matches the frequency that they hold strongly. So when I'm doing that, what happens is all that stuff just starts coming up, and then I just have to get away from everybody and just kind of honor the process. For me, it's easier to kind of go all in for a while. And I want to do a caveat on that. For a while, I'll go all in. I'll come home and I will just break down. I'll cry, I'll scream, I'll do whatever I have to do to just get it out of the body. Now, there's also no one here. I live by myself. So there's no one that's going to get the brunt of that. And that's why it's best if you are alone when you're trying to do this. Other people in your field are going to make it take longer. They're going to distort what you're trying to do, in a sense, not intentionally, just because everyone's in a different frequency. Anyone in your field is going to make that worse, in a sense, because you're trying to do something and your body's trying to upgrade to a different frequency, and it can't upgrade to that new frequency with all this other crap in the way. So you're trying to clear out kind of all the crap out of the body. Every tear you shed is that old frequency. It's all getting in your way of what's coming next. Now, for the bigger clearings, the bigger karmic clearings, the bigger karmic pattern clearings that you're doing, you might find that it stretches over years. You could go back and look at, what year it started, and it might be 3 years, it might be 10 years, it might be 20 years. And you can kind of feel it. And sometimes you'll flash back to something, that's the beginning, and perhaps this is the end, or getting toward the end, and I'll finally have the whole thing will clear. And then the whole reality kind of has to go with it, in a sense. Every time I have a part of it clearing, now the deeper ones take time, as you kind of chip away at it, and that's been my experience. Maybe someone else would say, no, they did it all in one blow, and I'd love to hear how they did that, because for me, These bigger ones, you kind of chip away. They're on a cellular level. They're ingrained in the body. So every time I'll go through a big clearing and kind of get pushed to the brink, and then the reality does break, no matter how scared and afraid, no matter what situation you're in, eventually it does break. The energy will always break in a sense, and it'll you'll get through that part of the clearing and it will ease up a bit. You can kind of then look outside to see, what's shifted, because something of that old frequency will start kind of fading away. Kind of like in Back to the Future when had the picture and, Michael J. Fox and the siblings in the picture would start fading away. It's kind of the same thing. Something would have shifted in that external reality that is tied to that frequency, because you're getting rid of more of that older frequency, right? And so something's going to shift. So I'll always once I'm kind of through it on the other side of that stage of it, and now I kind of look at it as stages of it, and I don't know, is this the final stage? Am I finally going to be at the final stage, or is this just another stepping stone up the ladder to kind of slide down the other side of it? Because some of these can, like I said, they can take a long time. If anyone says it's quick, I have a feeling they're probably they think it is, and they haven't gotten to the other parts of it yet. Because these are deeply ingrained in our body, our cellular body, which projects out what we see on the outside. So when you do go through a deeper clearing and you get to the other side of it, look around to see what's fading out. What's what person maybe I'm not seeing that much anymore. What's what's trying to come in? Maybe it's not all the way in yet because we still have more clearing to do, more work to do. I'll always say sometimes if you ask, can we just ease up a bit? You can ease up a bit. Your universe will ease it up a bit. Sometimes if you really just have to get through it because you're up against a time in a sense, up against something you kind of have to get done to go into the next thing. The portals are opening up, the realities are opening up, and you just can't take it with you. You might not get that reprieve. Sometimes when I do it, I normally do get a little bit of reprieve, but I also know I might be cutting the process short a little bit, and I haven't gotten to the other side yet. So I'm going to have to just do it again. It's kind of like trying to close down a reality too quick. It'll give you a reprieve, but you still got to finish your clearing. For me, it's easier to be by myself. Just bitch it out, knowing that I'm doing it consciously. I don't believe any of the shit I'm saying. I just want to stomp around and be a victim to it and be pissed off and be frustrated and scream and yell and curse my universe for everything and blah, 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 blah. But I'm doing it consciously just to get it out, get all that frustration out, get all the I'm done energy out. I'm just sick of this. This is bullshit. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe we're still in this, whatever it is. Just get it out. Get it out of the body. You can't push it down. You can't keep it in. All that stuff is in our way. All the emotions that come up, you have to get them out of the body. Get them out of the body. It's the most important thing you can do is just clear it out of the body. Because all that stuff is in your way of where you're trying to go. We're at this frequency, we're trying to get to this frequency, and all this stuff is in the way. So we have to work through all that stuff. And if you're here and you're trying to get to here, that can take a long time. It's stages, it's incremental in a sense. It can take years if you're going through twin karma clearing, if you're going through abundance karma clearing, galactic karma clearing, any of the kind of the bigger ones, the ones that have been bigger ones for me, it's years of here, a little bit. And I also would say in the beginning, my reprieves were a little bit longer. I would have it rough for a while, and then I might have 3 or 4 or 5 months of a reprieve, and it would be easier, and I could breathe. I feel like your body can relax a little bit in that frequency. And part of that also is you're not moving up as fast, in a sense. So you can stay at that other frequency longer before you have to clear something to go to the next one. So I think it's probably more of that, probably a little bit of both, where I wasn't moving quite as fast, so I felt like my reprieves were longer. I had a little bit more rest time, whereas this year I haven't really had a lot of rest time. It's been clear, you get a little bit, clear, you get a little bit, and then maybe get a week, maybe get 4 days, and you're going to be back in and push up against it again, because that's kind of what you're doing. And we also have to look at what we're trying to hold on to with the old reality. If we have the body resistance, I know today my body's very locked down. I normally don't do too much when I'm really clearing like this, but we also get to a point where we can either lay in it, set in it, and just get pissed and miserable. And there are times when I'll do that, and times I'm like, okay, it's time to move out of this now. It's time for me to get up, start doing something, put out a video, do a stream, whatever it is I feel like I could do today. But I'm not also going to be around people today either. I'm very clear with myself. I'm going to stay away from people and just let the process clear. But there are some things I might be able to do. But if I didn't feel like I could really do this, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have gone on here to do it because the frequency would be off. Whereas instead, And you do get to a point where your light body, your soul body will kind of get you through it. You kind of get you through it. And the one reason I say don't be around people, because there comes a point where humans, when they're in something like this, they just want to be around people and bitch and project all their stuff. We just don't do that. When you're in your higher aspects, you don't project your shit on somebody else because you know it's your shit. You don't project it on someone else. You work through it on your own because you have to show up as their highest aspect of them. You can't show up as a shit show. And that might mean you might not show up somewhere for months or a year, but you can't show up like that. You have to show up as the highest aspect of them. That's how you have to show up. So, we don't get to have a bad day. I heard someone say, like, maybe you didn't like your interaction with me because I was having a bad day. And I'm like, we don't get a bad day. When you get to a certain level, I don't really like the word level, but a certain consciousness space, you don't get a bad day. You don't get to have a bad day. When you have a bad day, you're just away from people. You might have a bad week, you're away from people. You're clearing it, you're getting through it on your own. You might have someone you can go to, kind of an ascension buddy. I kind of have an ascension buddy that I'll go to and just be like, I just want to bitch it out. I know nothing I'm saying is true. I know I'm just bitching it out. I know it's bullshit what I'm saying. I just need to get it out. And sometimes you just need someone to go, yeah, that is sucky. But they also know that they're just kind of helping you clear. But both parties kind of have to know that that's what you're doing, and most people will kind of find someone, and if you can't, just do it in the mirror. For the longest time, I just did it in the mirror by myself. Until you can kind of find someone, you can just kind of say, yeah, I'm going through this, and I just have to work through it. But someone said, you just want to bitch it out. And that's getting out of the body. You cannot push it back in. You can't feel guilty about feeling the way you feel. If you feel like you were screwed, say, yeah, fuck, I'm screwed. I was screwed and I'm pissed. I don't understand. I'm mad. I'm pissed off. What the fuck's going on? Whatever it is. Just balls to the wall. Just get it out of your body. And then you will feel better. And you'll eventually, the energy might not break that moment. Normally for me, it won't break until I'm up against if I feel like I'm up against a linear timeline where I want to do something and I need something to break so I can do that thing, or I don't want to not have this thing, and I'm up against a deadline, I'm afraid of something that's going to happen. If this date passes and this happens, I usually have to go through that passage. I usually have to bust through that fear and go, okay, fucking nothing really happened. It was okay. So it's going to be kind of different for everybody on kind of when the reality is going to break for them. But it will always break. Trust me, from someone who's been through as much as I've been through in the last 5 or 6 months in any clearing you're going through, the energy will break. You just have to hold on through the clearing in a sense and get kind of excited about the clearing, knowing that you will see something kind of move around, all that stuff that we're holding on to, all the cords of attachment, and sometimes I might have a story about, I want the reality to clear, but wait, does that have to go too? Or can I keep that? Or is that part of that reality? So that has to go too. And we kind of got to really look at that and be honest with ourselves of, where am I holding this in place? Where am I playing in this old stuff? Where do I keep allowing the old shit? Where do I have to say, yeah, no more of that? I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to stop doing that and see, will that shift it? We kind of start to look for anything else. You're kind of looking around your reality saying, okay, what else is there? What lever can I pull I haven't tried yet? Is there anything I'm shifting? Can I shift? What do I have to shift inside? Sometimes I would say, what do I have to do to clear it? And then I started taking it more internal, like, okay, what is it inside of me that's blocking this? What do I have to clear? Let's get that stuff out. And if you have been doing, humans kind of go more toward affirmations. They don't really care much for affirmations. I call it more like reprogramming. And if I've been trying to reprogram something and keep repeating something, because I realized I was repeating something, saying something that was kind of anchoring in something I didn't want. So I'm like, let me just shift how I'm saying it. So I'm kind of reprogramming. Every time I would think some one thing, I'll just reprogram it to another. And that seemed to be making it worse. I'm like, what the hell? That's supposed to make it better. But then I started understanding that I'm trying to shift to that frequency. And everything that's not the frequency of what I'm saying has to come out and go. So sometimes that might feel like it's, worse for a while. The clearings are worse, the emotions are worse, because you're trying to clear out everything that's not what you're reprogramming to. The frequency you're reprogramming to, the things you're saying. If you're actively, you don't have to say it to reprogram. Sometimes it feels like you're doing something more when you do that. It's more for a human than anything else, but okay. So go all in and keep practicing the art of intuition.